All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is Daily Vlog 2025, number 258. And today, we're going to be speculating on stuff involving the critical roles. If you didn't hear, Critical Role has officially posted the character art for each of the 13 new characters for Campaign 4, which starts in only a couple weeks here. It is, it's the 15th. October 2nd is only just over 2 weeks away. So we're getting pretty close. I mentioned before I thought they were going to reveal the characters before we actually before the premiere happened. However, I was expecting, I don't know, a little bit more of a drip. Sorry, I'm getting my blankie is soft because it makes my anxiety slightly less, and I like green. All right, so I wasn't expecting them to drop all of them in like one post. But all we got was the character arc. We have no idea what classes they are or anything else other than we just know the art and we know the name and who's playing each character. So something I thought might be fun is let's do some theorizing about what class everyone's playing. So with that being said, in order for us to get a good theorization, we need to see what they look like. So the first class, this is Travis's new character, Tayor Pridesire. I'm assuming that that is a Leonin, which is actually a race from, which one was it? It was one of the it was one of the Magic the Gathering supplements that they put out. So I find it interesting that he's going with that. I absolutely adore the character design. It looks amazing. And something that I realized when we were today, when I was getting ready to do this video, is 13 is kind of a weird number for the number of players that they have. However, you want to know what else is separated into 13 different things? D&D 5th edition has 13 classes. So my theory is that every single character is going to be a different class as normal. So as we go through each one of these, we're basically going to be ticking off, oh, well, we've already found the monk, so we don't have to worry about having another monk. Is it possible they might double up on classes? Absolutely. And in 5th edition, as long as you get to level 3 where you get your subclass, you can have multiple rangers in the same party or multiple monks in the same party or whatever. As long as they choose different subclasses, they can still feel unique enough. But I think the fact that they specifically have 13 players, I really think they're going to have one of every single class. Now, the only wrinkle that is put in there is going to be the fact that technically the 2024 version of D&D 5th edition, what I refer to as 5.5, only has 12 classes currently. They haven't yet updated the Artificer to 5.5. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't use the Artificer in 5.5. It already kind of fits with how they redesigned the classes for 5.5 in the idea that it gets its subclass at the third level, and there was enough time between the original classes being created and the Artificer that it does kind of use the newer rules that they created for creating classes and things like that. So theoretically, one of the 13 here might not be the artificer. Something that has been thrown around a little bit is the idea that Mercer may just make their own class. And we do know, like, the Blood Hunter is Mercer's class, so we might have a Blood Hunter in here. And there's other... I mean, technically, the Blood Hunter is the only one on... no. There's the Illrigger. We theoretically could have an Illrigger in here. It's not that Mercer and Colville have literally any beef whatsoever. Crispy's Tavern actually did an interview with Matt Mercer a little while ago. And Crispy is really, really into Draw Steel. And so he said, hey, what do you think about Draw Steel? And Mercer's like, I love Draw Steel. I think it's amazing. So it's not like there's any animosity. And Draw Steel plugged Daggerheart in its opening, if you've seen my in-depth review on that. So yeah, it might not be one of the base classes, but it still might. So anyway, let's get into speculating. So for Travis's character, in my mind, it is blatantly obvious this is a monk. Like, they have obvious, like the cloth on their hands, that is very obvious hand wraps. If you've ever seen boxers, like either before they put their gloves on or after they take them off, that's what their hands look like. And what that is you actually wrap each finger individually in that. And what it's designed to do is it helps your hand stay aligned correctly. So there's less of a chance of you damaging your hand. Something that a lot of people don't realize is unless you've actually trained your hand with like impact training, it's really easy to break your hand, to the point where if somebody who's never thrown a punch before goes and clocks someone across the jaw, there's a very good chance that they're going to break a knuckle or they're going to break a finger or something, because these bones are real flimsy. And so by hitting things repeatedly, like, your hands aren't really designed to be striking things repeatedly, and so you can cause pretty major damages. So that's what the wraps are for. So in my mind, this is a monk. Now, I don't know if they're going to start them at first level or not, but something that some people might say would be a reason why this might not be a monk. It is wearing armor. Like, you can see it has like a breastplate, it has like a pauldron there. But to me, that just feels like artistic license more than anything else. Like, the fact of the matter is, those hand wraps to me are a dead giveaway. We see nothing else in there. There does seem to be a shield on his back. And he does have a sword belt. So I don't know, maybe it's not, but to me, it feels like a monk. And it for me as well, it's very possible that I might be letting my own my own desires for a character that I want to play be influencing me here, because there was the video game. It used to be called Secret of Mana 2 in the West. Now it's called Trials of Mana, now that it's got an official release. But one of the characters in it is a character named Kevin. Kevin is the monk in the game, and he belongs to a race of characters called Beastmen. And one of the things that Beastmen do is when the moon turns full, they turn full werewolf. I have loved the idea of a werewolf monk for a really, really long time. I think it's just the coolest thing in the world. And I actually made a werewolf monk in Daggerheart, using a druid as kind of a stat block for it, and I love it to death. So I really think this would make a cool monk. Now, again, there are a few things that kind of hint it might not be a monk, because again, monks generally don't use shields, and that's pretty obviously a shield on his back. He does have a breastplate on, which is medium armor. Um, so it's theoretically possible, and he does have what could be a sword belt, like the belt that he's got on. Let's see if, like, can you see my? There we go. So you can see, like, this right here, like, this is a pretty standard sword belt. But he doesn't have a sword on it. He just has this little ring. So theoretically, this could be a throwing-based character. If we want to call this a chakram, this might be a throwing-based character, which I've made and played a throwing-based character. I had an absolute blast with them. They were a battle master fighter, and they were super, super fun and cool. But I don't know. The hand wraps and everything, it makes me feel monk more than anything, and maybe the shield and everything like that will be more flavor than it is that. But that's my prediction for this one is going to be monk. So I just realized I don't have a drink. How can I do this? How can I move on if I don't take a drink? Come on. All right. Drink. So, that's Travis's new character. Teor Pridesire. Very different from Quagsire. All right, moving on. This is Whitney Moore's new character, and there is so little we have to go off of on this character. It's fairly obvious. This is a tiefling. They use tiefling naming rules or whatever you want to call them with this. Because her name is Tyranny, and that's in the player's handbook. It specifically mentions tieflings in general will sometimes be named after emotions or ideas and things like that. So this is obviously a tiefling. In addition to that, if we look at the clothing, like, she does have a very nun-like appearance. So if I had to take a guess, for me, it would make sense for her to be some sort of a cleric, or some sort of divine character in general. Now, clerics, for the most part, don't generally wear, like, no armor. Like, they generally have some kind of armor on them, and depending on the flavor of cleric, they might go as far as wearing heavy armor. So that's the one thing that makes me doubt it. But I don't know, the colors and everything. The one thing, like, the design on the thing here, this to me feels kind of divine looking. This little embroidery and stuff like that, it almost looks like sun rays. So in my mind, a light cleric might make sense for this character. I might come back to this one because I'm not 100% certain on it, but it's feeling like this might be the cleric of the party. So yeah, moving on. The next one, Marisha Ray, Murray Magnuson. So this is obviously pretty flamboyant. In my mind, this is one of two characters. Either this is a rogue, or this is a bard. And because of other things, other characters that I see, I'm kind of leaning away from the bard. However, she does kind of have this, like, jeweler's ring thing here. So that makes me kind of think, what if she's the artificer? Because there is kind of a technical aspect to this. There's a flamboyance to the character. And that feels very kind of arcane-ish. So it does feel like there's some magic to it. And because of this, I'm kind of leaning into the idea of an artificer, because that might be kind of interesting. So yeah, prediction right now, I think this one's going to be an artificer. And as far as subclass, I don't really know, because none of the subclasses that are currently exists for it. They have four: the alchemist, the armorer, the artillerist, and the battlesmith. Um, Armorer is Iron Man, and I just don't see this being an Iron Man suit. Alchemist, I could see this kind of being, but normally alchemists would have like vials or something on them, and I don't see anything. Artillerist, I think maybe artillerist might be the most likely because they deal with like making guns and stuff like that. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but yeah, right now I'm saying artificer. I might change that in a little bit because there's another character that I thought maybe, but I'm gonna say artificer. So moving on. All right, this is Abria's character. Obviously a magic user. The character art, like, I think she's meant to be a half orc or an orc. But due to the fact that I've been playing a crap ton of World of Warcraft, they introduced a new race that's not trolls and not elves, but kind of in the middle. And she looks real close to these new World of Warcraft characters. I do find it interesting that she has the kind of split toe boots. So yeah, I'm not 100% certain, but it's blatantly obvious she's some sort of a spellcaster. For me, I get a feeling of, I guess it could be, yeah, because those are leaves. This could definitely be a druid, because you can see right here, like, that's very equine. Like, you have like horse or unicorn kind of a thing going there. And then those are leaves. Yeah, I'm going to say she is going to be some flavor of druid. As far as the druid subclasses, they have land, moon, sea, and stars. I could see her since, again, the last time we had a druid, I think, was Keyleth in campaign 1. Because I don't think we had any druids. Oh wait, no, we did. We had the fire druid for Ashley played a fire druid, but we've never had a in campaign 3. Campaign 2, I don't believe there were any druids, but we've never actually had a Circle of the Land druid, which is your kind of pure spellcaster druid. So I think that could be cool. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name. I think Titan. Nope, not going to do it. I'm going to insult somebody by doing it. But yeah, I'm saying Abria, she's going druid. Moving on. Matthew Mercer is Sir Julian Davanos. So there's a lot going on here. The first thing I think of when I see this is a fighter. Like, I could totally see this being a Battlemaster fighter. My personal opinion, I think the Battlemaster fighter is by far the most interesting flavor of fighter that exists. There are cool fighters like Eldritch Knights, very cool. In 5.5, they do have the Psy Warrior fighter, which is also very, it's a Jedi. You're a Jedi at that point. Like, that's what you are. You're a Jedi. Stop pretending you're not. But the Battlemaster, there's just so many things that you can do with the Battlemaster and so many interesting builds for it. Again, my card throwing character was a Battlemaster fighter, and I had so much fun with that. The other thing that kind of makes me lean towards that, he does effectively have kind of like a dueling cape or a shoulder cape here. So I kind of, like, to me, and he's got a rapier there, like, that feels really strongly to be Battlemaster fighter. Like, the outfit looks very duelist-esque. Theoretically, I mean, let's look at the rogue here real quick. So the rogue has the 2024 subclasses are Arcane Trickster, Assassin, Soul Knife, and Thief. I mean, I guess I could almost see maybe an Assassin for Sir Julian, but not really. Like, that just feels very fightery, and I can't think of any other classes where it just feels like that would fit. It really, in my book, I'm saying this is a fighter. So, yeah, moving on. The next character, Taliesin Jaffe, is Bolair Lethalia. This one is really interesting because if you look at the weapon he's holding, you can see through it completely. So my thoughts here is I wonder if this is a soul knife. Because one of the level 3 abilities for soul knives is what's called psychic blades, and it is in the 5.5 PHB. So you can manifest shimmering blades of psychic energy whenever you take the attack action or make an opportunity attack. You can manifest a psychic blade in your free hand and make the attack with that blade. The magic blade has the following traits: it's simple melee, it's 1d6 psychic. The mastery property for it is Vex, which is if you hit a creature with this weapon to deal damage, you have advantage in your next attack roll against it. So the rapier that we're seeing there is normally a D8 weapon, and I can't remember what property the rapier has. Well, let's look it up. I mean, I have the damn thing open. Let's go sources. Where are you? PHB. Let's look at this real quick, and I just want to see equipment. Coins, weapons. Let's go to the weapons, and let's just see what a rapier normally would have. So rapier normally has the Vex property, whereas when most people think of psychic blades, because it does have the throne ability, a lot of people think a dagger for it. So I could definitely see this being a soul knife rogue, which would be an incredibly interesting character to play. I mean, it's very obvious that this character is going to be dark and weird, but let's be honest, so is Taliesin. So yeah, I'm saying this is going to be our rogue, and specifically, I think it's going to be a soul knife rogue, which again, I think will be super fun, but we'll see. Moving on. Might as well keep drinking, even though I just drunk. All right, here is Ashley Johnson is Valus. Now this gets very interesting as well. So the character themselves is using an incense thingy. Basically, if anyone is not familiar with what this thing over here is. So this is something that is used in religious ceremonies. I know the Catholic Church does it during certain like really formal masses. And what you do is you put incense in it, and then a priest or whatever walks through, kind of moving it back and forth. So it's theoretically possible that Valus here is going to be using this incense burner as her weapon, which could be interesting to say the least. And again, incense burner in my mind would instantly make me think cleric, but we've already talked about the fact that Whitney's character, I think, has a better chance of being a cleric. There's not a ton here that would blatantly give off the idea of magic, but the smoke comes off of it a little bit, you know, kind of mystically, and we can see here in the eye and then to her hand they do have this kind of multicoloral thing, and that makes me kind of think sorcerer, because they have 4 flavors of sorcerer. One of them is aberrant sorcerer, it's just psychic sorcerer. And if we already have a soul knife, it might not be out of the realm of ideas that there might be a more kind of psionic aspect of this thing. I couldn't really see this being wild magic or draconic, but I might see this as a aberrant sorcerer. If not that, this could be a warlock, and that might be a sign of the pact, because they do one of the patrons is celestial patron, so that kind of multicolor thing could be kind of celestial, which might be interesting. They also have the great old one patron, which that might be. So I guess this might be the warlock. Again, at first, I don't know if I mentioned this. At first, I thought Abria's character might have been a warlock. I'm now starting to think maybe Valis is the warlock for this campaign, because this does feel kind of pact-ish. She might even be like a genie pact warlock, and that might be where she keeps her genie too. Despite the fact that hasn't officially been updated to 2024, Mercer can make his own shit. So and to be honest, the subclasses aren't that difficult to kind of hop into 5.5. The big problem with the sorcerer is, with the warlock as well, warlocks choose their packs at first level, whereas 5.5 versions choose it at third, and so you have to kind of modify how things work a little bit. But yeah, I'm starting to think Valis is a warlock. It feels warlocky. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. Moving on. All right. The next one, Alex Ward, is Octis Taconis. And he seems to have a pair of puppers, which is adorable. This one, I think, has a strong kind of magical aspect to it. These could very easily be familiars, but as you can see, there's also these vials here. There's a little thing there, and then he definitely has the book there. This might be a wizard. Let's look at what the wizard subclasses are in this. So we have Abjure, Diviner, Evoker, Illusionist, and none of those really feel like what I'm seeing here. If we go back to the old wizard subclasses, the old one did have the Order of Scribes. Trying to see if there's anything else. Blood Magic, Chronergy, which was I don't really feel this being a wizard. So I wonder if this one is the Artificer and it's an Alchemist. Like this, I could very easily see this being an Alchemist. And these could be, because Alchemists for Artificers, they get a homunculus, I think. Okay, spells, experimental elixir, alchemy, or maybe that's just something that that might be something that just, it's one of the infusions you can get or something. I don't know. Anyway, alchemists can have a homunculus servant is one of the infusions. So I could definitely see those effectively being the homunculus, one of them being a homunculus. Yeah, especially since they look like they have like buttons for eyes. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is an alchemist. This is an artificer alchemist. And so that does mean, and if we go back, here, it means she can't be an alchemist unless they're doubling it up. And again, I didn't see enough here that would make me feel like that's an alchemist. So at that point, again, I still get a strong. I wonder, because of the kind of Mollymock coat here, I wonder if this is a diviner wizard. Because, first of all, divination wizards are massively fun to play, specifically because of the portent feature, which is basically you roll 2d20s and then you write down what you, at the beginning of the day, you roll 2d20s and then you write down what you rolled. And then anytime during the day, you can just, boom, say, that roll is actually this number that I rolled, and I foresaw this earlier. It is an unbelievably fun thing to do. And when you understand how to use it well, it's just super, super fun. So maybe this is a divination wizard. Like I think, or they call it divina in 5.5, but I could definitely see this being divination. Okay, we're going to go with divination for that. So let's go back to, all right, so moving on. I'm digging Alex's character, though. That's a super cool looking character. All right, Robbie Damon is Cadigan Vale. It's obvious he is a ranger. Like, it is, I mean, he's a Beastmaster Ranger. There's no way that he is not a Beastmaster Ranger. Theoretically, I wonder if... So, Beastmaster, they do get Primal Companion. Trying to see... I don't think any of the other Rangers in 5.5 have a companion. But there were a couple... there were a few Rangers that did get companions. The Fire Seed Ranger, whatever the one that... what's your... or no, that was a Druid. The Dragon Ranger got their own Dragon Companion, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, I think it's blatantly obvious. This is the Beastmaster Ranger. Like, it just feels that. Because of this here, part of me wonders if he's going to use... because in, I think it was Tasha's, they had alternate things for Rangers, and one of the things that they could do, I'm going to see... Yeah. So one of the fighting styles that Rangers can choose is Druidic Warrior, which gives you 2 Druid cantrips. I wonder if he's going to use the Shillelagh spell as his kind of main attack ability. And that's why he has this thing here. But yeah, I think it's obvious that Robbie's playing a Beastmaster Ranger. And the Beastmaster Ranger works so much better in 5.5 than the original PHP. Like the Xanathar's version of the Ranger was fantastic. It worked great. But the original PHP version of the Ranger just didn't work super well. So it'll be nice to see another Beastmaster Ranger that's not Laura's character, Vexalia. Moving on. All right, so Liam O'Brien is Hallandil Fang. So this one gives us the least amount of information of anyone thus far. There are no visible weapons. There's no casting anything that we can see. There's nothing to really hint at what Hallandil does, other than those smoldering baby blues. So this is the one that I have kind of the most trouble thinking. I don't see it being a paladin, simply because, again, paladins are very weapons based. We already have a druid. Theoretically, it could be a cleric, but again, clerics tend to wear more armor than that. It could be a bard. It's very reminiscent of bard outfits. We already have a wizard. and a possible warlock. We don't have a sorcerer, so this theoretically could be a sorcerer as well. I don't know. This gives me kind of strong bard feelings, but there's also another character that feels very bard-like as well. So yeah, I don't know about this one. Let's come back to Hollandale after we've figured out the other ones, because this one's a little bit confusing. So, moving on. It is a cool character design though. All right, so Luis Carzo is Azun Nayar. People have been guessing a few different things for this. I'm stuck between two ideas here. I think because of the armor, this very easily could be a paladin. And it could be an Oath of Ancients paladin. Like, people saw the lightning and they're like, oh my god, it's an Eldritch Knight! I don't really see Eldritch Knight. Like, to me, this feels much more paladin-esque than Eldritch Knight. And so, like, Oath of the Ancients might be there. You don't see much kind of plant stuff, but electricity is kind of there. Otherwise, I mean, Oath of Vengeance could also be there, but there's nothing, like, you can see there's this little scar here, and that could very easily be kind of used as justification for, like, why I'm a darker character. There's also the Oath of Glory, which has some easy, or some interesting things. I don't really see this being a devotion paladin, but to me, this feels a little bit more paladin. The other thing it theoretically could be, though I have a hard time believing it with the fact that he's wearing armor, theoretically could be a barbarian. But he's using a two-handed weapon. There's some magic aspects to me. And he's wearing, heavier-ish armor. To me, this feels very strongly to be a paladin. And again, I'm not as familiar with Luis. So I'd be interested to see how he would play a paladin. So yeah, that's my prediction there, is that's a paladin. Moving on. All right, so Sam Riegel, wow. Sam Riegel is Wikander Halovar, or Wikander Halovar. This is another one that's kind of interesting. With the staff there, I wonder if this is a sorcerer. Because I could see this with the kind of circle and stuff like that there. I could see this being a clockwork sorcerer. Because clockwork sorcery... a plane of existence shaped entirely by clockwork efficiency. So as you can see, we already have kind of a clockwork aspect to the staff there. Now, we do see the same kind of motif here as we saw with Whitney's character, where they have these kind of almost sunburst-looking things on their robes. So I wonder if that means that Sam's character and Whitney's character are connected in some way. There is a kind of solar motif here, but again, I could also see it being clockwork just as easily. As far as the 2024 flavors of sorcerer, we have aberrant, clockwork, draconic, and wild magic. However, there was a divine soul sorcerer in previous books, and this could be a more divine-oriented sorcerer. And we haven't really seen that many characters that can do healing stuff. So having a sorcerer that can also heal can be very, very useful. But to me, this just feels very sorcerer-esque to me. If it was a wizard, I would expect some sort of a book somewhere. So yeah, moving on. And then finally, we have Laura Bailey as Thimble. She's playing a fairy, which is super cool. She's dual wielding, which is also super cool. As far as classes we don't have, technically, the only class we haven't given one yet, we don't have a barbarian yet. And we have what's possibly a bard. So this theoretically, like this, very much so. And I think it would be hilarious if this was a barbarian. Like one of the new barbarian classes is, or barbarian subclasses is Path of the Wild Heart. Which is the newer version of the Totem Barbarian. So I could see this character maybe doing that, or possibly Path of the World Tree, which is a more kind of healing focused. Yeah, this could be a very cool Path of the World Tree barbarian. Like that could be super, super cool. Most people, when they think of barbarians, they think of two-handed characters, because the way that the old barbarian worked, it was really, really built around the idea of, because of their crit mechanics, the bigger your damage dice, the better you did when you crit. And because of reckless attack, they were just more likely to crit on a regular basis, because they were always rolling with advantage and they got a lot of attacks. So I think like this could be a super cool barbarian. I don't really see this as a bard. It doesn't feel very bard-like to me. And again, I just love the idea of Laura playing a tiny little ball of fury. Like, I think that would be super, super cool. And so I really, really want this to effectively be a dual-wielding barbarian. Because you can create dual-wielding barbarian builds. I'm not as familiar with the 5.5 barbarian, because I don't do 5.5 stuff. Like, all my campaigns are still using 2014 rules, or the 5.0 rules. So I'd have to go back over the barbarian class features again to be 100% certain. But yeah, with rage damage, every time you attack, you add rage damage to it. So you can create a dual-wielding barbarian that does some pretty interesting stuff. And they do get unarmored defense. Trying to see primal knowledge, ability score, extra attack, fast movement, feral instinct, and brutal strike, which would be very cool, but they're far beyond that. Yeah, I kind of think I'm gonna say Laura Bailey is playing a fairy barbarian, which is awesome. Really? Wasn't what I wanted. Okay, so and that means if we go back to, where are you? So yeah, Liam. I'm gonna say Liam's playing the bard. Like, to me, that makes the most sense. And then yeah, this is gonna be our paladin. This is going to be our sorcerer. Did we find a wizard? Oh yeah, we had which one did we have for wizard? Because that's artificer. Did we have a wizard or no? I thought we had one that. Oh yeah, a diviner wizard for Marisha's character. So yeah, those are my predictions. So yeah, that's all we need there. So yeah, those are my predictions. I think that kind of makes lots of the senses there. Interested to hear from you guys. Do you agree or disagree with my ideas on each one of these classes? Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, it's going to be all for me today, and I will see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.